Alright, this is the second surface. I've turned the metal over, checked the machine face. It looked very nice, and we've put it on the bed, and it sits down completely flush on the bed. No bowing, nothing like that. I'm pleased about that, because that tells us that the shaper's doing, or the planer is doing a very good job of machining things parallel and straight and flat. So we'll see how this face comes out in relation to the bottom one. But quite pleased so far, and you can see now I've done that modification on the arm there, and I've cranked it so it's not binding anymore. It's working perfect, that is. But that's chugging away nicely. Yeah, I was just peeling a nice chip off there. Getting just below the surface of the slag, scale, whatever you want to call it. So that's working very nice. There you go. Okay, it's the next day now. I'm just looking at the lubrication on the machine before we start. Finish planing this surface here. You can see I've started planing. That was what we did last night. Incidentally, anyone who was wondering how long it took to do that, well, that's 1.25 inches. Of course, it's 2 foot long, and that took an hour. So you're looking probably about 2.5 hours to get to there. I told you it was not a fast process. Let's have a look at the drive mechanism for this. You can see we've pulled the bed forward today so I can get at these various components for lubrication. And you can see we've got the mechanism here, which is for the forward and reverse. I'll show you that lever moving and the mechanism here. I'm not operating it fully all the way yet. I can't do that until we've got the belts driving, where you can see the mechanism there. A lot of play in that, but it is what it is. And that's the big bull gear that drives onto the rack, which is fitted to the bottom of the rack's fitted to the bottom of the bed. Anyway, let's just operate this, so we can start it. So it's not driving at the moment. If we operate the lever, we'll see the mechanism here, and then we'll go around the back and have a look at the mechanism there. See, it reverses it. Speed up. There you go. Just go around the back, see things clearly then. Okay. Let's see if we can see it from the side as well, eh? Go around to the side. I don't know if I can see from here. I can't reach the lever, that's the only problem. Can't reach it very well anyway. There we go. There will be some work to do on that in the future. It's not in brilliant condition. A lot of wear and tear over 125 years. A lot of components, bushes will need making, pins, whatever. But it still works. That's the important thing. So we will do something with that. Okay. Yeah, it's almost finished now. Probably a couple of 3 more passes probably. You can see that flame cut edge is definitely not straight. But we'll be straightening that up and planing it square to the 2 top and bottom sides. Yeah, just a little bit more to go. And what we'll do, we'll measure the thickness of that all the way around. I've got a special tool for doing that. And we'll have a look to see if we're going to take any more cuts off of this. Because I think it's about 1 3/32 is nominal at the moment. Do we want to machine it down to 1 inch thick, or do we just want to machine it so that it's true and parallel? That we'll need to decide. It's only cutting at that far end now. Yeah. There's nothing there now. So sort of 2.5 hours later, so, you know, it took 2.5 hours to do that cut. Obviously you'd probably be doing something else at that, during that time. Maybe marking out, drilling, or whatever it is. You've got to feel confident in your machine. It's not going to cause you a problem if you're doing something else. Fortunate on this, if it jammed up for whatever reason, the belts do slip on this. I've seen that happen when I was messing around yesterday on them first cuts. Try to take a bit too much off with your feed. Depth of cut, the belt just slips, but you don't want it standing there for ages slipping. Not doing it any good at all. At least it doesn't crash and smash things up. I think that's pretty much done now. We'll bring that to an end. There you go, switch it off. Okay, I'm pleased with that. That looks pretty good for a rough, general purpose sort of finish. That's pretty good. Not bad at all. So I'm happy with that. Alright, I'm going to start thinking about just cleaning down, and we'll measure the thickness from the bed to here. Like I say, I've got a special tool for that. And we'll decide what we're going to do. Are we going to take another cut off? Are we going to go to the finishing tool or whatever? And I'll show you a tool for setting the height of that in relation to the bed or a machine face, unique to a planer and shaper. Alright, we'll have a look at that in a minute. Okay, I'm just having a look at measuring the depth here of the material, and I have a special micrometer here for measuring things like this. Special sort of depth mic. It's a 0 to 1 inch, it's a more than right. This is thicker than 1 inch though, so what I have to do is to put a parallel here. This is actually gauge plate. I had some pieces of gauge plate I bought for the slide here, or for the guides here, for the ways on the shaping machine. I made some new ones because the other ones were worn. And of course when I put them on, because they weren't worn, it clamped the ram, and I scraped all the ram in then. It's running very nice at us now. But anyway, I use these as parallels. I've got another one over there, and I use them as parallels. They're ideal. They're actually width-wise are about 1 thou oversize. It's pretty consistent as well. So what we'll do is we just put that onto there. And I'm just going to put you down for a minute. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see what we're doing? Okay, what you have to do is you have to push this down hard here. Make sure there's no contact there, and then push down hard. Just click, but you've got to really push down hard, else it will try and lift off. I find you can just feel it touching. I'm happy with that. Can you see how it just tries to go a little bit further if you try to get it to click? See, it's touching now. I'm going to leave that as it is. That is 7, can you read that? 720. So no matter where I check around here, we're probably within about 0.02 of an inch just doing this method. And when you look at the bed itself, the bed is not ground or anything like that. The bed is planed. You can see it's been planed. You can see the planing marks in it on a big planing machine. Now bear in mind, we've still got to, in the future, we're still going to have to scrape the ways. Let's have a look at the ways. I'll show you for why. As you can see, they're too polished. They're too polished. There's no lubricant retention on there, although we got oil on them now. It's not staying there for any great length of time. Now I've scraped the ram on the shaper. We're having good lubricant retention, and it's holding the lubricant. We need to do the same on the bed here. It's not a big job, it's straightforward enough. And then once we've done that, then we'll take a skim pass across the whole of our bed here, whole of the table, using a finishing tool. We're just taking enough off, just enough to get a nice finish all the way across and get things parallel. And what you got to remember as well is when you're machining on the bed of the planer, as the table's coming out, it's overhanging here, so you're going to have a pulling down at the front and pulling down at the back. It's got keeps underneath, but you will get a lot of distortion and things on the machine, so you have to watch out for things like that. But that's within a couple of thou all the way around. It's pretty parallel really for the size of it. It's 2 foot long and it's about 3 inches wide, is it? Yeah, it's just about 3 inches wide. So it's not bad at all. So it's about 1.093, 094, 095 in places. Like I say, it depends where you measure it. But it's not bad at all, and that's with the roughing tool too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this out and we're going to put the finishing tool in, I think. I'm not going to worry about getting that to perhaps 1 inch nominal. We're just taking material off for the sake of it. So what we'll do is we'll put the finishing tool in, and I've reground the finishing tool, and I'll just show you that now. You can see we've got more of a rake angle now, and it's much sharper now, it's more acute. So our top rake has increased. We should get a better finish with that. We've still got a little radius at the bottom, but I've polished that up as well on the oil stone. That's nice and sharp, that's razor sharp. So we'll be putting that tool in. So I'm going to start doing that now. And then when we've done that, we're going to look at how do we put or set a cut, not knowing as to exactly where we are, because we've got no dials or anything like that. We want to take a cut on this, and there's a special tool that was designed, it's an American tool, for use on planers and shapers. And it's known as a planer shaper gauge. And various manufacturers made them. I've got one by a company called Lufkin, a good quality manufacturer. I know Brown and Sharp made them. I think Starrett made them. The fellows over here, I'll just give you a quick look at it. It's in this little box and it says Lufkin on top, you can see. There you go. It's a planer shaper gauge. I bought that from the United States too. And we'll be having a look at that to set the depth of cut. We'll touch off and then we'll set the depth of cut with the tool. Okay. Alright, here we have the planer shaper gauge. And I've just been setting it with that, with my micrometer, the one that we measured the depth of the steel on the bed. And I've set it so it's about 2 or 3 thou under. So I'll give us our finishing cut. Now what we'll do, you can see this here, it's on a taper there. And you can adjust it up and down the taper. What we'll do is we'll take that to the planer. And you could set this with a height gauge, and there's different attachments for different heights. You can see the different attachments here. We've got a finger there for marking or whatever. We can screw them things in there and we could have different heights, so you could measure from the bed, from a machine surface or whatever. This is a general purpose tool. If you're looking for fractions of a thousandth of an inch in measurements, it's probably the wrong kind of setup you need. But then I'd ask why you're using a planing machine. Planing machine would machine big surfaces, big components, and typically you're not worried about half a thousandths here and there. But anyway, we'll take that across to the planer and we'll have a look. Alright, we've got the planer shaper gauge here on the finishing tool. You can see where we've set that. That's what we set on the surface plate. And we're just touching. You just feel a little bit of a drag there. We've got to be careful we don't want to take a cut off the top or damage anything. Just a touch, and it's just touching now. So that was 715. So that's probably going to give us, because don't forget we had 3/8 of an inch underneath that, so we're going to have about 1.090 or something like that, or 1.095. 1.090 probably, thereabouts, when we've finished. It'll be interesting to see what it is, but we'll have a look. But that's okay, that's just touching. I'm happy with that, but that's the planer shaper gauge. And you can imagine, because we've got no dials in here, we've got no idea as to what we're setting this to. A big planers, you've got no idea how much you're moving the bridge up and down, and if you were adjusting the bridge, you'd throw everything out, so you needed something to be able to set your tool to. So if you've got multiple steps on your components, you could set that down, you'd know what the next step would be, where it should be set to, and you could use this. A nice sort of rough and ready sort of setting tool. It'll be interesting to see how accurate it is after we finish this first finishing pass. See if it is 715 on the micrometer. Alright. Right, there we are, it's just starting to cut now. It's cutting quite nice, look at that chip that's peeling off there. Very small cut, only a few thou. I've sharpened that tool, don't forget, so for a different rake angle now, much sharper, more acute. That's not looking too bad so far. We've got the maximum step over that we have with the feed rate as well. That's peeling a beautiful chip off. It's probably taking about 5 thousandths off. It's very nice. That face is not quite parallel, you can see the cut changes, it varies throughout the whole of the length. The finishing tool really is truing everything up for us. It'll be interesting to see when it's finished. I see it's peeling a beautiful chip off there. We're nearly there with this pass. You can see the lines on the surface there. Typical of a planer shaper finish, that is. Looking pretty good at the moment. We still need to take that extra pass. Yeah, it's not far off now. It's peeling the chip off quite nice. You can tell that surface isn't perfectly flat. The cut does vary as it's passing under the tool. Right, I think that's done now. So we can just switch it off. Alright, cutting in the other direction now. We'll just have a look to see. There you go. Peeling the chip off. You can see the surface finish on the plate now, them long straight lines. Typical of a planer shape of finish, that is. We're only taking a fraction off here, but because of the large radius that we've got at the bottom of the tool, we're actually taking quite a wide cut off. But we're only taking maybe 2-3 thousandths at the most. We don't want anything more than that. Well, that's cutting nice, that is. And you can see it should be correcting and truing any imperfections in the surface as well. Well, there we are, it's finished. It's cut all the way across now. You can see we've got our nice lined pattern on here. Not a brilliant finish, but it's pretty good, that. Smooth to the touch, you can feel it. I'm happy with that. That's good enough. That is for what we want. Right, what I'm going to do is clean everything off, and I'm going to check the dimension like we did before, just to see what it looks like. Right, so I'll do that now. Right, I've just cleaned this off quickly, and I've done some measurements. Measured here, we've got 705. Here we've got 706, 706, and then here's 707. There's some slight twist. That could be the bed itself, don't forget. But it's pretty good, that is, for the size of a piece of bar. We'll get it taken off now. I'll strip this off I'll measure it properly with a micrometer, see how it is, and then we'll have a look at facing or machining one of the sides. It'll be interesting because it's flame cut, so we'll have to be careful with that. Got to get underneath the surface on that. So we'll do that next. I'll clean everything down, and then we'll have a look at how we're gonna hold it as well. All right.